Hi guys, it's Coach Tracy here with your mini training for Thursday. My background looks a little different. I had a long run today and I spent a little too much time warming up. So then I was like, I could make it home and rush and be on time, but I was like, you know what? It's a beautiful day here. So I'm just setting it up outside. I hope you don't mind. I realize I'm not always like great at interacting when you guys pop on the live because I get so easily distracted. If I stop and say hi, I feel like I will then lose all of my train of thought. So bear with me. I'm super pumped for those that get to pop on during, but I know a lot of people catch the replay, so hopefully that's never a bother for you guys. And so today we're going to talk about movement versus training days, and I think this is really important. This definitely doesn't cover like nutrition related things, but it's a common topic that pops up a lot, and I think it's good to learn more about. So the way I've outlined today is kind of talking about the difference between the two, examples of each one, and then also signs of overreaching. And then that can also help you know when you've like gone too far or been going super hard lately, and maybe, you know, switching it up a little bit is worth it for you. So to start, what's the big difference between movement and training days? Okay, so when I think about it, I try to look at it like this. Training days, you're following a program, or maybe you write your own program, or you have a coach, or you go to class, and that's a training day, whether it's like an hour at your local CrossFit box, or you know, a double session written by your individualized coach, or whatever that looks like for you. You had this to do today and you crossed it off, crushed it, right? Movement days, I think of more like doing things outside of the gym. So maybe it's going for long walks, going for a walk in nature, or walking with a buddy, or maybe trying a different class, right? That maybe isn't like gym related. Maybe it's like rock climbing or dance or something like that, right? Or even yoga can feel really good too some days, or like even maybe a spin class just to like switch it up, right? And not to say that like each are completely separate from the other, but I think it's good to talk about it in the sense, like, I think we can get caught thinking, regardless if you're an athlete or maybe just like a Gen Pop person looking to get like more healthy, you know, depending on your goals, you don't have to train hard every single day, and you probably shouldn't. So it's important to know that, but I think being a human, it's probably a good idea to move every day in some way. Like, our bodies were designed to do that. I think we can all agree we feel better when we do. It's just learning, like, when have we gone too far and too hard for too long? And it's important to like surround yourself with people to help you and educate you about those things, so you can make more efficient decisions about like what you're doing for the day. And it really comes down to what your goals are. So for example, you know, a CrossFit Games athlete that is super successful and this is their life, you know, we might have to say, okay, well, you got to show up and do the thing more often than maybe your body wants to, right? But also there is still even a wiggle room with that too, of learning how to adjust your training for that. And I think that that's super important. So I felt like that was a little all over the place, but hopefully you guys are following me with the fact that like movement and training can be different, and movement doesn't just have to be like a walk. Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know if I lost you there or what, but basically I was saying, you know, we don't have to train hard every single day, but we should probably move our bodies in some ways. And some days, like, movement doesn't have to be just, you know, going for a walk, but it can be working on movement quality work. So maybe you're trying to make semifinals in the CrossFit Games season, and you need to just like back off your training a little bit. Instead, you don't have to like go be a couch potato or like just go for a walk if you feel like that's not giving you like a big enough fix for the day. You could also do mobility work. You could do any prehab rehab work you have to do. You could also just like play around with a PVC pipe and make sure that you're like focusing on technique and good positions, right? So I think what we should bring up next is those signs of overreaching, so it can help you learn more of when to do what for each day. So some of the most common signs that I come across when I work with people tend to look like the following, but I want to also just keep it real that it might be different for you. And I think that it's important to keep track of things so that you can learn more and more about what are your signs that like are telling you, hey, back off a little bit. So some common things look like abrupt wake up or sleep disturbances in the middle of the night. So maybe you wake up once or twice between 2 and 3 a.m. and it's quite abrupt. It's not like a peaceful rise by any means. And it takes you a little bit to get back to sleep. Another thing can be insomnia, like having trouble getting to sleep. Also, if you find yourself on the verge of like getting sick relatively often, or all of a sudden you have like a respiratory infection, that's like a really, really good sign that you might just need to back off your training a little bit. A lot of times when you're peaking in like a training cycle, I tend to find like the nice thing about a well thought program is you can PR 2 to 3 times by the last week of the cycle, right? And that's super, super exciting. But if you don't take that like deload time after, deload meaning like lower intensity, lower frequency or volume, your body doesn't have time to adapt to the new limits that you just exposed it to, right? If you lifted the most weight you ever have in a split jerk, your tendons, ligaments, muscles, all that stuff is just exposed to a limitation that it just conquered and has never experienced before. So we need to give your body that time to adjust to that and allow for that adaptation to occur. Because if you don't, also when you're peaking for competitive seasons, you're pushing yourself to the limits. You're almost like, it's like running yourself down a little bit, but you're probably feeling when you're most fittest, but it's almost like a fine line. Like you just don't want to get sick either, right? So learning that if you tend to like all of a sudden get a cough when you're really tired or things like that, it just you need a little bit of time to back off. Some other like common ones too that I think aren't always talked about is like complete loss of appetite, like nothing really, you don't really seem hungry anymore. You can't even really hear you're hungry because you're always busy training and working and, other obligations in your day. And also, what was my other one? Oh, this is a big one. Negative self-talk. So I know a lot of the people I work with absolutely love what they do, movement and training wise. Like there are a lot of people that are working on a specific goal that they have, and it is like honestly so inspiring. But with that being said, that's when like, for example, I also love training. So if I find myself during the week a couple times in a row saying like, I don't want to do this. This looks really hard. This is going to hurt. This is going to suck, right? I think we've all said that, especially if you have something to do with thrusters or wall balls, right? But if you're someone who like genuinely loves to move and train, and you find yourself saying those things more frequently than not in a short period of time, that's also a really good sign. You might just need to take a step back. And it doesn't mean we have to go so far the other end and do nothing. It just means take 1 step back so you can get 3 steps forward. So I think knowing those overreaching signs and signals are a really good thing to help you determine, like even if you do work with a coach who can adjust your training for the day, I think it's good to always communicate with them like how you're feeling, whether it's through a rating scale for the day or just giving them a heads up that you woke up not feeling good or whatever the case may be, because your training's for you. So you want to get the most out of it. And now if you don't have a coach either, hopefully with this mini training today, you've learned a little bit more about how to structure your training in a way that you can be the most successful and be the most efficient with your training, right? Because if you're just running yourself ragged, like more is not always better, and you could feel so much better if you just take a step back every once in a while. And I've seen it where people need a deload every Tuesday of the week, and I've seen it where people can go without a deload for 3 months at a time. So it's really dependent on you, your development as an athlete, your lifestyle as a person, and obligations in life. So don't stress yourself out. No, you don't have to train like a lunatic every day in most cases, but you should move every day. And if you need more examples of that, feel free to hit me up, DM me on here, leave me any questions in the comments, and I will be sure to tune in next Thursday with some goodies for you guys. Thanks so much.